up running late for your own cast. Give me a moment here, guys and gals. I'm going to get the word out just in case people want to join me on this. But as you know, I get started whether the chat fills up or not. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari GXC. I just wanted to get the word out on both Twitter and post. And hopefully soon I will be seeing less of this site and moving over to Spoutable, which launches tomorrow. Christopher Boozy has me very excited. I filled out all the questionnaires for Spoutable. They did a lot of stuff preemptively. There were a lot of journalist friends of mine who already got to preview it. I probably got the offer, but if I'm going to be 100%, I haven't been checking my emails or anything else. I have been fully invested in writing my second novel, so it has taken me away from a lot of things. So I apologize to those of you who thought I disappeared. I have just been busy writing, and I am. You can't enjoy Spoutable? Why? Beans, welcome to the chat. I've been excited because they said I got accepted when I applied. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to get in. I don't know if they're going to try to do a Studio 54 launch of it. I'm hoping that it's a bit more accessible because honestly speaking, that was Twitter's whole appeal. Anybody could make an account, and if you messed up, that's when you lost your account. I hope that Christopher takes that into consideration and doesn't try to make it where it feels exclusive because that won't work. Ah, I see. Yeah, you got to be protective of your identity. I feel like as it becomes more popular of a website, that will hopefully be less of an issue. But I know that Christopher being a constant target, especially from those who hate him for the Meghan Markle stuff, and just the fact that he is trying to be Twitter's rival, it is going to be hard. But I am excited because I feel like I love social media. I'm 100% honest with people. It's easier for me to be myself online than it is in person with most people. So I'm looking forward to this launch because Twitter, like I said, has been getting really stale. And like I titled this, the ongoing struggles when the digital age is just full of stupidity is the real. One of the things that I am going to talk about today is the amount of journalists who are utilizing their platform to do their little hit pieces. It took them 30 years to do it for Hillary Clinton, but they're not going to wait that long to try to damage and tarnish Kamala Harris's reputation. One of the things that I've noticed is the uptick of especially black male journalists pulling this nonsense. I don't know whether there's an unseen quota. I don't know whether they think this is going to get them somewhere, but idiots like Cleve Woodson Jr., who I already had in my mute pile because I didn't like the crap that he said and seen anyway, decided that today would be the day to speak for all black people, which he doesn't speak for me. I'm being very facetious, y'all. That everything I fought for someone like her to be president, her has a name, sir. Her has a name. But I don't know that the people who have made that happen feel that way right now. I sure as heck do. I am fully for VP Harris to become President Harris in 2028 because need I remind people that our current president, Joe Biden, has said that he fully intends to run in 2024. Now, barring any unforeseen circumstances, because life happens, changes will happen, that is the ticket that I plan on supporting in 2024. But people are playing games, and I'm going to show you just how insidious it's become in a moment. But it's brothers like this who utilize their platform to do this stuff. He's no different than the Rushes, than all those other right wing politics that dinged Hillary, dinged Chelsea, dinged anybody female who dared to venture into politics. And it's sickening and insidious the way they keep trying to craft this narrative that VP Harris isn't doing work when she has been here and abroad building coalitions, doing the work of a vice president better than her predecessor. You know that human Q-tip who, need I remind you, they found classified documents in his home too. Since people want to play that gotcha game. It is troublesome but not surprising to those of us who were expecting this, man. We knew that Jews were not going to give her the same respect that she deserves. The same respect that Joe Biden gave her by picking her as his VP. The same respect that people like me who respect and who have watched her trajectory give her. Because she doesn't center your feelings. Case in point, Afro Savvy, who you know I love dearly. She is a dear friend. I think she is a sweet person. She is the type of person who is a doer, not just a sayer, but an actual doer. Went head to head, toe to toe with this dumb bird. And I'm going to try to find it because I responded to her. And then I was like, you know what? I got a book to write. I can't be fighting on Twitter with people. Now, this idiot, who I'm not even going to play because I keep the term Elizabeth Warren muted for a reason. She gets my blood pressure up. Her and white boy Wilma get on my nerves because there's a certain section of Democrats that always fall for their nonsense. Liz has been proven a liar. Liz has been proven unreliable. She thinks black people are her mules. She just pushes herself into our spaces, treating us like little token Negroes that she can shove a camera into our faces, but doesn't really care about our causes and our situation because we are ends to her means. She'll go on about $1 million wine dens when she is literally worth millions. And need I remind you, all of you Liz fans out there, that this bitch was a Republican until her 50s. So what drives me up a wall with these constant Liz stands is that, yeah, she wants to look like she supports President Biden. She is that pick-me girl that thinks that he should have picked her instead of an accomplished VP. Because she is the type of person that I've warned you about, Katie Porter. I've warned you about every single white person that I had to deal with in my personal life growing up, especially. The kind that will copy off of your paper because they know you're smart. They want the same accolades as you, but they don't want to put in the work or effort. And they will get that much, or if not more credit than you when they know they didn't do the work. That is exactly who Liz Warren is, and she inspires white women like this bird. You bring up this nonsense because this stuff angers me. Becky, aptly named Liz Warren fan, she decided to say this nonsense, but deleted it because she knew it was bullshit. She knew it was bullshit because she got ratioed to high heaven by people who are tired of the open-faced misogynoir against our vice president. Frankly, I appreciate Senator Warren's stance. Oh, you appreciate her saying that Joe Biden shouldn't run with the person who literally helped get him elected in the first place? Fuck you. With all due respect to VP Harris, she is not qualified to serve as the president of the United States. She is literally the vice president, bitch. What? She's not qualified. This is the same shit people say to black women no matter what. They tried to do that to Ketanji Jackson Brown, our recently appointed Supreme Court Justice, who, need I remind you, is magna cum laude for both Harvard and Yale law. Two separate higher institutions that notoriously used to keep us out of them. She was able to reach the highest pinnacle of both of those institutions. Yet, if you listen to Fox News, if you listen to bitches like Becky, she wouldn't have been qualified for the SCOTUS either. SCOTUS is just picking her because she's black. I guarantee you that Becky and other bitches who think like Becky talk about VP Harris like that, dismissing all of her work as a prosecutor, dismissing all of her work as a senator. And yes, some of you want to twist her prosecutorial work into, oh, she jailed black people. Wrong. My friend Kenny, who I adore, has a perfect series on how wrong people are for trying to accuse Kamala Harris of prison the pipeline when she has been a force in trying to stop, if not all out mitigate, black men, especially going to prison, giving people second chances when they fuck up, keeping them on the right track to success. But oh, that's boring. It's not as salacious as making up rumors about her putting people in prison. Trotting out that mother who was literally dealing with a truancy issue, knowing that that wasn't even Kamala Harris's jurisdiction. And as a parent who had health issues myself and dealt with my kids' health issues, if your kid has to be out of school and you're too lazy to fill the proper paperwork out, you're going to get a visit from DFS. That has absolutely nothing to do with the prosecutorial in your state. That is state law, no matter where you are. If your kid is not in school and you do not register them, and they are under the age of 18 and the school complains, you can get in trouble. This lady let her kid stay out of school for 6 months, whether she had a regular health issue or not. You don't file the paperwork, you don't let the school know, and you don't answer them when they call you. What do you expect is going to happen to you? And it wasn't even then prosecutor Harris's jurisdiction. If you listen to the Dusties, if you listen to idiots like Becky who will eat that up because, unlike Warren, who will center her financial woes with populism and bullshit, Kamala Harris just isn't qualified to her. She was qualified to become the VP. So that nips your little argument in the bud there, Becky. She was a state AG only in the Senate a couple of years. The first black woman senator since Shirley Chisholm, need I remind you. One of the best AGs in California, which is why she was able, as an up and comer, to win a Senate seat that they didn't even think a Democrat could win at the time. Admired by her peers, she goes into her job with as much gusto, grace, and happiness that a person who is constantly attacked for who she is can muster. Because need I remind you, as a mixed ethnic person, she gets hate from so many sides, including her own people. Because some of you want to claim her when it's convenient, but deny her when she doesn't do what you want. And I've seen that over and over. I've lived that life myself, and I don't do it anymore. I just claim my blackness now because I don't need people trot me out as their token whatevers. But VP Harris can't do that because her identity has been visualized, conceptualized, and demonized by whoever wants to do that. But what I'm not going to let you do, because the racism thing doesn't surprise me when people do it, is when you shit on her very clear work record, when you try to downplay the job she has done as a prosecutor, job she has done as an attorney general, job she's done as a senator, and the job that she is currently doing as vice president, you will not get away with that. Whether you're a Becky, whether you're a Katie Porter fan, because you are all the same as far as I'm concerned. You have that acceptable form of bigotry that lets you go, well, I don't like that woman, like you did to HRC. You think the first white female president should be somebody who literally lied about her identity, kept women of color out of higher education. Because, oh no, we have our diversity higher. Liz says she was Native. She believes she was Native. So no harm, no foul, right? Even though her 23andMe proved that that was a lie. Liz has been a detriment to our party for the longest time. And she knows what she's doing because she knows she's got loyal white women like this who see themselves in her. And it's going to be problematic for women like me who understand that while, yes, I'm 100%, I do support VP Harris because she's a black woman, because she's a black Asian woman, it helps as well, given my family's makeup and history, but because she works, she does the thing. She will talk to you like you're a human being. She doesn't look at you and go, oh, Republican, I can't talk to you. When she was on the campaign trail, she didn't just go to places where she would be accepted. Though she didn't leave us behind either. When she went to the barbershops, it was to talk to the people that she wanted to talk to about the things we care about and to listen. Unlike Liz, who had to ask, well, why are you here? Okay. When she talked to people in Iowa, letting them know that even if you don't like me, I see you. I'm not here to change your mind on stuff. I'm here to let you know that I'm running to be your president too. It's one of the things that Joe Biden has said. Is one of the things I respect about him, because when we've come from a presidency that literally drew battle lines, literally told us it's us versus them, and many of us was on the them side, to have people who want to lead all of us, whether you like it or not, is the reality of pragmatic people. And that is why I know not all of you can sit with us. I know you want to. You think blue no matter who. You think we them should all be under this kumbaya tent, but that doesn't work like that, because some of you have never had to vote strategically. Some of you have never had to vote to survive. You don't like the slightest inconvenience. And any okey doke, any Oakley type who wants to manufacture their life tends to wow you, while somebody who works hard, does the right thing, cares about you and beyond, are treated with scorn and disrespect. I watched you do it to Hillary Clinton. I've watched you do it to Senator, now VP Harris. Half of you probably don't even know Lauren Underwood or her accolades, or Lucy McBath, Sharice Davis. Half of you just figured out who Hakeem Jeffries is because of the idiocy of Kevin McCarthy's stunt for Speaker of the House. You don't get to know the people who are representing us, yet you think you can make informed decisions. And then you scorn those of us who literally, our lives, our survival, our current existence is in knowing who represents us both locally and nationally. This is why I don't trust a lot of people. This is why I do these Bonnet Chronicles, because Becky is far from the only one who spouts stuff like this. Wendell, as I put him earlier, who I am so glad for elders, because of course Miss Denise collected his ass like she constantly does. She shouldn't have to. She's a Black Panther. She has done enough for our community and beyond, but she stays collecting these wayward brothers who spout this misogynoir openly. And when you see idiots like this say stuff like VP Harris isn't qualified, that is misogynoir. Even though she tried to backpedal, delete it, say, oh, how dare you? How dare you accuse me of being a bigot? You were a bigot. I know it's hard for white people to accept that about themselves when they openly say stuff like that, when they put it and don't realize that it tweets forever, even if you delete it. Especially if people are literally chomping at the bit to copy the stuff you put out there. Once you put that thought that VP Harris, a literal accomplished senator, AG, prosecutor, and now vice president of the United States, isn't qualified, what do you mean by that then? What could you possibly be getting and invoking when you say she's unqualified? What do you think qualifications are? Do you think they should be manufactured like Liz? Do you think she should make up something about her identity? Maybe she should pull out a whiteboard and draw little pictures on it and say, see, this is what I want to do. I don't have any feasible plans. I don't utilize my power in the legislation office to do that. But I can stunt like the best of them. Maybe she should go to the Met Gala in a very ugly ass dress to protest things, but don't actually draft legislation to do stuff like some of your favorite squad members. Some of you love the stunters, but you ignore the doers that can actually move us forward to better things. You love the doomsayers that want to be cry and talk about how bad things are, because that is the only buttons you seem to like push nowadays. And it is exhausting trying to survive this digital age full of dummies who think, well, I can say stuff. It shouldn't matter. It's just online. She says she has no foreign policy. Has she? I know our news has been really slow on certain things, but even the slow trickle of news articles showing her in Mexico, showing her overseas in Japan, showing her in France, showing her in Canada, showing that our vice president in the last 2 years has not been home a lot, even though Deathsantis, who I'm going to get to in a few minutes, And Abbott seemed to like to bus people to her new home. To say she has no defense or legislative, and the legislative thing bothers me because the whole work she did as senator for things to attack things like she helped the Harvey Milk Act get passed, which she was one of the prosecutors that fought against that whole Twinkie defense that people were using as a justification to kill transgender people. Kamala Harris's records, what she has done as a senator and beyond, is easy to find. But people don't want that. They want the salacious. They want the rumors. They want the made up bullshit. And if crafted narrative is your idea of what a politician should be, you can't sit with us. I am so sick and tired of the people who want frauds like Liz, frauds like Katie Porter, and spit in the face of people who want to do the work. You did it to Hillary. I'm not going to let you do it to Kamala. And I don't care if you're a journalist with a huge platform or some random Becky who thinks I'm not racist, but I just want to say that a highly qualified black woman doesn't seem qualified enough to me when, bitch, who the fuck are you? You say you're a grad student. You remind me of that Progressive commercial where that weird looking guy said, I'm a French model, bonjour. Anybody can say what the fuck they think they are online. Anybody can craft a narrative of who they think they are. It's all fucking cosplay from a lot of yous. But I'm going to take the advice of somebody that looks like a damn scarecrow talking about she's a grad student saying that our VP is unqualified. I'm just like, are you serious? What's the qualifications got to be now to be to you? White skin, a penis? Because that seems to be the only fucking qualifications Becky and idiots like her seem to respect in this day and age. And I'm getting tired of ignoring that little factoid. And see, shame is the only thing that seems to resonate with idiots like this. That's why she was quick to delete and act like the victim. Because shame is the only thing that seems to work on these idiots at all. And I'm not going to calm down from calling her that because it makes me upset when I see somebody who clearly tries to act smarter than they are, which is one of the insults I lobbed at her because she thinks she's the smartest person in the room. But she indulges in that same acceptable form of bigotry that so many of you have internalized and normalized, and you need to purge out of your system, especially in 2024 and beyond. Because I would love to see President Harris one day, just like I would love to see President Buttigieg one day when he is ready. Perhaps even as a double ticket in 2028. Fingers crossed. But what we're not going to do is continue to try to self sabotage a working, functioning ticket because your faves are salty old crones that couldn't lie their way into the top spot or the second spot. So she's feeling certain ways and giving awful interviews. You're not going to be that Becky that keeps trying to call an accomplished vice president, probably one of the most accomplished vice presidents since Joe Biden was vice president. And that is another reason why she was picked, because he sees how she followed the trajectory that he did in legislating and negotiating and seeing human beings as that. And he sees the leadership qualities. You are not going to keep diminishing VP Harris because of your internalized bigotry. You need that reality check if that's what you're doing. If you just find things about her that you don't like, even though you know that her accomplishments are decent, her work as a VP is nonstop, and these constant attacks on her character, to me as a black woman, isn't surprising, but it needs to stop. We have so much going on in our country. This fool, Douche Canoe, with his don't say gay bills and his attack on African American studies. Because in Florida currently, it's in to have a dictator wannabe. It's in to have somebody who tantrums and threatens places like Disney and tries to make people feel like a police state is normalized. And if you don't think that what he is doing on the state level wouldn't be amplified and made worse on the national level, you got another thing coming. And like I said in the last Bonnet Chronicles, this Clanrian call, as it is, isn't for his loyal. Those people will file out no matter what because they get to openly hate whoever they want to hate. This is for the apathetic white people who swear they're BLM when it's convenient, swear they're blue no matter who when it gets them clicks and views, but don't turn out the way we need you to. This isn't for his base. This is for those of you who will continue to allow men like him to be in charge of shit and who think that this kind of power play will make him nationally well known enough to get the nod. These people are going to make some very toxic power plays because that is the only way to get away from the stench of 45 for their party. You either got to be even worse than Trump or more of a well-known name than that idiot because he is already on the campaign trail even though he is literally being investigated for sedition. Delusional stuff doesn't stop people from running for president, y'all. But the fact of the matter is, the Republicans want to get away from Trump, and they need somebody who will really drive home that jackboot theocracy, and you can't look no farther than Ron Deathsantis. And all he wants to do is continuously show bigots that under him, they can be open-faced haters. And like I said, this isn't for the loyal. The loyal is going to be there no matter what. This is for those of you who try to tell me BLM, try to tell me blue no matter who, try to tell me we are all under the same tent banner bullshit, but don't turn out to vote. And until your numbers match my voting demographics numbers, you can't sit with us. I know this is hard for some of you to hear. Not those of you who do the right thing. Not those of you who know I am not directly addressing you. This is for the ones of you who are scrunching up your face right now. Because you know there were times where you could have voted in a local election, but you didn't feel like it. You could have voted in a national election, but you didn't feel like it. You don't care about the school board because I don't got kids in school yet. What's the matter to me? They're banning books. You always have an excuse not to do your bare minimum civic duties and you wonder why your society is falling apart. But you don't invest yourself unless you feel centered. You don't see qualifications in people who work hard but just happen to have black and brown skin. But you'll let these goofy yahoos who literally run on a banner of hate run states into the ground. Bust migrants like they're toys into different places, thus fucking with an already stressed out system of immigration for stunts. It's all about stunts for some of yous, and yous have to be the ones to stop it. I know how I vote. It's strategically, it's for my family and my own survival, but it's because I was taught early on that that is a power they don't want us to have. And several idiot conservatives have made their stance on why giving women the right to vote was the country's downfall and other bullshit. They want to drag us into Gilead. Not even kicking and screaming. Silent if they can, chokehold if we can. It's sickening that people aren't seeing that because they think, oh, I'll be all right. I'll survive. I'm one of the chosen ones. I'll be a handmaiden. You have such delusional fucking fantasies. In a right-wing theocracy, if you're a woman, you will have no rights. I am not saying this to fearmonger. I am not saying this to make you feel like, oh, you're doomsaying 10. This is just the reality. You have seen what they do when they're conservative Supreme Court justices taking away Dobbs, even though it caused so many statewide issues, from everything from medication to the fact that we literally had child rape victims being forced to carry babies of their fucking rapists. This is the society that they will have us devolved in, with free guns and violence everywhere. And you think you'll have rights in that? They don't even want you to speak. They want you to be popular little meat puppet baby incubators, fuckable meat bags that pop out little ones, and then when you get too old and you need to be replaced, they'll find a younger version to put you out the pasture with. That is the idea of men like Deathsantis and other conservatives. So if you're a woman right now questioning whether or not you'll be okay under something like that's leadership, and you thought, well, I survived 45, COVID was bad, the economy had me worried, but it's a lot worse now, which it really isn't. But you can't go by our news because they want something bad to happen. They're itching for something bad to happen. And everybody complains about the prices, and they just want to find something to ding this administration with, because it's just a game to people. Crafting that narrative of awful so that you will fall blindly into this weird theological fascism that they want to push, because they swear everything they're doing is under God. They know God supporting this nonsense. But some of yous really do feel like, well, it's my place to be less than. It's my place to not have a real say in my house and just be protected by my husband. And if that's the life you want, more power to you that way. Even though a lot of you are powerless, that's why you go out in public and act like fools and want to use the police on people. But for the rest of us who like the balance we have, like being able to have our own voice, like feeling like citizens in our own damn country with our full rights to be, I don't want that life for everybody if they don't want that, if they're happy in their crafted 1950s lifestyle. But I want my right to exist alongside yours. And that is the point that conservatives can't seem to get as they go after things like candy, as they go after things like black studies, as they go after the LGBTQ plus. They don't want people feeling comfortable in their skin because they feel out of place. Well, who do I get to openly hate? Nobody. That's the beauty of an equal society. You're not focused on that. You're living your best life, they're living their best life, and we all just live. But that scenario is a nightmare to control freak conservatives. And some of you are willing to be apathetic enough to let them seep into power. We cannot afford that. Because what happens when that happens? We normalize so much bigotry. I talked about it on the last Bonnet Chronicles. And I need to bring this up again because it is very frustrating to me. What happened with Tyre Nichols. I will not show their video, period. It is black torture porn at this point, and I am sick and tired of seeing the last moments of black people on in 4K. I just can't. But what the media failed to do, what Memphis failed to do, as they plastered those 5 black police officers, because they love that kind of gotcha, without realizing that black people knew that it doesn't matter the skin color of the person wearing the badge. A lot of them have authoritarian and bully issues. This Yahoo, this Wendell guy, who, yeah, most of us wouldn't know about him. He's quietly on leave. He's not fired. He's not being indicted yet, but he is on tape tasering Tyre Nichols, saying that he hopes the 5 Scorpion Squad members beat his ass. He is just as guilty as those 5 other policemen, but he is being treated with kid gloves. I guess you can see why. And what troubles me is how normalized this shit is. All of them are complicit in the murder of Tyre Nichols. All of them should be facing conviction for the murder of Tyre Nichols. None of them should be treated like, oh, he just needs to be investigated properly. He's a fucking murderer. But I guarantee you, out of the 6 of them who is responsible for Tyre Nichols' death, one of these motherfuckers will probably get off and get hired somewhere else if they have to let him go for optics. It is so sickening, but not surprising in a society that has acceptable forms of bigotry that we downplay stuff like this. That we act like his role in there wasn't as bad as the five brothers because they should have known better. They stopped being brothers the moment they put on those clothes. And I'm going to be real 100% with people who in my family wore that badge. I'm not saying my uncles had that personality. I don't know. I was cool with some of them. Others I didn't really know that well. But I do know that it takes a certain type of personality, especially to be NYPD. And I know that they are trained to view us, even people they've known all their life, as less than. So while the media and other people, assholes like Jason Whitlock, want to pontificate and blame single mothers and say other asinine bullshit reasons for why cops are literally trained to view black and brown people, because need I remind you, Hispanic people haven't been immune. Indigenous people haven't been immune to police bigotry and brutality, but there is a special place of hatred from the former slave patrols turned bad carriers for black people in our own country. Because need I remind you, they are targeting black citizens for their legalized lynching. And it is a police reform issue. It is not a black, white, anything in between issue. It is literally law enforcement hiring people with both psychological, anger, and bigoted issues. And while I know some white person will go, well, are you telling me racism is an everything thing? No, I'm telling you bigotry is an everyday thing. Racism, which is systemically anti-black, is definitely self-taught, ingrained, and can be exuded by black people, because I seen that asinine tweet, and one of the things I'm not gonna miss about Twitter is dumbass brothers trying to get views and acknowledgement on Twitter saying, well, I fail to see how five black officers is a white supremacy thing. And I said it in the last Bonnet Chronicles. Historically speaking, these men aren't new. When our ancestors were on the plantation, you always had those Negroes willing to whip, beat, and be cruel for the master. So having them put on badges, having their descendants do the same thing in this new form of torture, yeah, no, I'm not shocked. I'm just tired of constantly seeing it and nothing being done about it. But what really upsets me is when assholes like this get downplayed and people want to only focus on the five black cops that did it. There's an issue with our police that we just aren't touching upon. There's an issue with our society that continuously kid gloves certain demographics, continuously acts like certain people are need a little bit more respectability to their investigation. Yet him and Han just want to really ding at black people as much as you can. Having idiots like Jason Whitlock on Tuckhead Carlson, which I don't watch, having the clips constantly shown. I seen Comedy Hype because it's one of the people I follow on Twitter and on YouTube. And watching that interview that he gave, where he makes the excuse for those five police officers as a issue with single black moms, I don't hide the fact that I legitimately, after leaving an abusive situation, raised my son alone. I will say it again. When it came down to making the decision not to date, it was the fact that I had watched so many issues of women who let men in and their kids being abused, being killed, and I did not want that life. I interned with my aunt who worked for DFF and DCF and Children and Family in different states. I've seen horror stories of both the foster care system and women who just had to have that love in their life and ended up losing their kids because they couldn't keep that love in their life from beating up the kid that wasn't theirs. I did not want to keep that cycle repeating. So until kiddo was double digit age and my best friend asked me out, somebody I trusted, he trusted, somebody I knew that I could bring into our circle and not feel unsafe. And even then, it took us years to move to the next phase because I am a mom first, and I made that clear. My kid comes first. He has to be brought in this world, and I will be damned if anybody hurts him. But not a lot of women think on that level. A lot of them can't survive by themselves, and it's clear. So they get themselves a partner that harms their kid, and I did not want that. So I stayed the fuck away. And I know you go, well, Tim, what's this? The fact is, Jason Whitlock seems to think that women like me, who put our kids first, who do everything we can to stay and be there for our kids, it's not a perfect situation, but it's the best we can do. Oh, it's not good enough. It's why stuff like this happens. Tyre Nichols did nothing wrong. He wasn't a criminal. This was supposed to be a routine traffic stop, and he paid for it with his life because his only real crime was existing while black in America. But if you can get any shucking and jiving Negro to try to blame black women for this issue, they will, with a quickness, because we are the easiest, most hated demographic for simply existing. You hate our strength, you hate our resilience, you hate us. And you make it clear when you have those yahoos on your shows because they spew that toxic anti-black woman hate like it's breathing. And you just let them spread that poison constantly. When the issue that we should be focusing on, that Tuckhead should have been focusing on, is the fact that the blue feels unchecked, feels like they can get away with it. That's why they allowed themselves to be taped doing this. Why do so many cops feel justified acting like judge, jury, and executioner? That is not their job. Their badges literally say protect and serve, but who, man? Who are you protecting and serving at this point? We as citizens deserve equal protection under the law, yet we are viewed as less than. And it's clear when you allow assholes like Jason Whitlock on your show how anti-blackness is so normalized. That's why this latest nonsense. And when I see stuff like this, I'm not going to bring up the tweet. I just want to bring up this picture. Because apparently this picture's got a bunch of white people who are supposedly body positive in their fields. I'm a big woman. Never hid that. I work out every day just to keep myself going so that my body, because I'm getting older, doesn't break down. But I am not doing it for slimness. I know it's weird for some people to understand that. I'm comfortable in my skin. I gained weight when I was younger after being sexually assaulted, after losing a bunch of weight got me raped. So, yeah, body stuff has always been touch and go for me, and I've been honest and brutal about the journey, about eating disorders, about everything I went through until I started accepting what I have and working with what I have. And it is a constant struggle. So when I bring this topic up, I want you to understand that I am coming from a place of somebody who has been super morbidly obese to the point where I had to get surgery because it was that dangerous. But realize that body positivity, as we're trying to push it online, is bullshit. Because stuff like this is bothering white people. You're trying to call this the new N word. And this is how I know, or the blackface comment that I seen on Twitter that made me go, now I'm logging off. I'm logging off because I'm going to end up cussing out white people behind this. Whenever you have to preface something as blackface without understanding the dehumanization that blackface actually continues to do to black people, it pisses me off. But the fact that you got to label anything that offends you as the new blackface really pisses me off. Most of you didn't even watch this movie. Yet you're upset because Brandon Fraser, who also put on actual weight, wore a fat suit for this role. Because I'm sorry, there aren't a lot of super morbidly obese men that have the stall quality and the pull to pull in the numbers for such a deep movie. And I'm glad that they got somebody with the emotional depth and range of acting, as Brandon Fraser has portrayed in this movie, than any old rando A-list Hollywood guy. But what troubles me with the people who want to say shit like this is the new blackface is you don't even care about black people. You don't care about people doing blackface. You don't care about actual bigotry and prejudice. You just want to feel like the victims of something. That's why trauma wars is really starting to move up to me in the whole envelopians, or what we're going to start calling the clears now, because you want to feel the way black people feel without actually experiencing what black people experience. There is no break from the bigotry for us. There is no time out, day off, unless we are around our own, and even that's not a given, because hate is so internalized. The self-hate is hard to purge at this point. It takes years, and it's never 100%. But when you say stuff like this is the new blackface, what you're trying to say is you're not comfortable in your skin. And I understand that. Body positivity is hard. And look at some of you who scorn Lizzo for being out there, being her open self, loving herself, and not understanding that she is body positive. Even when she's trying to actually diet and exercise and slim down a little bit. She's not saying that fat's bad. She's saying that, like me, she realized I'm getting older. A certain size is a little bit more detrimental to being in heels and playing on stage for hours. Maybe I'll slim down a little bit. She was never doing it to say that she's anti-fat, but big girls on TikTok decided to say, oh, she's not an ally to me. And then it's to the point where even making a fat insult or a joke or a comment is a bridge too far for some of you. Like I said, some white lady that I don't even remember her. I'm sorry, not sorry, but got mad, said I wasn't a fat ally because I called Chris Christie Wimpy Wellington. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm a former New York girl, lived in the borough closest to Jersey. So I'm not a fan of Chris Christie for a whole multitude of personal reasons. And I'm a fat woman. So when I called him that, because I cannot stand him, that was a ding to him. It wasn't a thing to everybody who's fat, but if that is how you took it, that is a you problem. I can't. I would be exhausted if I got upset every time somebody called somebody fat, because honestly, that would be me saying that I am still insecure in the skin I'm in. That is why I don't believe that the body positive movement is as true and genuine as people try to portray it as. Because if you were body positive, this movie would inspire you to see not only what it's like for somebody who is struggling, who hasn't gotten to the point where they feel like enough's enough, who does use food as a crutch, who hides away from the world because of their weight. You see the toxicness and you realize that it doesn't have to be that way. That's what the whale was trying to portray. The toxic side of obesity that a lot of us try to deny. Some of my most toxic moments was when I got to near 600 pounds, and I'm so glad I never tipped the scale that bad, but I got pretty damn close. And it was because of my family's pushing, which, you know, most of us from old school families, especially black and Asian families, you don't want to be too big. Especially in New York, you do not. They did not want me that size. So, needless to say, getting that surgery would have happened whether I wanted to or not. I told you, an aunt of mine literally still carries around the picture of when I was 14, when I had lost a ton of weight. That slim picture of me in that cute little Easter dress. She showed it to me when she picked up my mom almost 3 years ago. She carries it with her to remind me of when I was that slim and pretty. This is the mindset of a lot of black and Asian women. The slimness is supposed to be a beauty standard. I put up with it because I'm used to it, but it doesn't mean it has to be true. And I was comfortable enough in my own skin to just smile and let her talk because I knew she couldn't get to me anymore. 20 years ago, that shit would have broke me. 20 years ago, I would have been in my feels about why am I not good enough? And I realized that I can't keep living under other people's standards. That's what body positivity is. But some of you aren't there, and it's clear because any references to fat, any references to thin, any references to a body that doesn't match yours or you're insecure about, You go up in your feels and you got to stop. It is exhausting to me as a fat woman to deal with people. Oh, you're not fat, then really? The roles say differently, and I'm okay. I can grab parts of me. I let my partner grab parts of me. That's just the way it is. That is literally how I roll. But I'm bumtish. But getting to this level of comfort took time, took a lot of energy, took a couple of really bad attempts on my own life, even because it is a struggle. And when I realized I don't have to exist based on these superficial standards, things got better. So I'm begging you right now, if you truly want to exist body positive, instead of constantly rallying against movies like this, you don't got to watch them if you don't like them. But I would suggest you watch them, see if anything resonates, see if you feel like they're making fun of you, and question what you think they're making fun of. Because I feel like a lot of people can't look past the fatness of the fat suit because you're not comfortable being fat, and you need to hear that. Because if you're body positive, shit like this ain't bothering you. Shit like this, you're not sweating this. You're sweating the fact that some medical professionals, even if you have nothing wrong with you, which is something my general practitioner started to get on my nerves with. You don't have, it's besides the anemia, which I've had since I was a kid, and the immune issues that I've had since I was a kid. I don't have heart disease, which surprises a lot of people. I don't have diabetes, which surprises a lot of people. Even though I bake goods for my family, I've never been a sweet girl. I've always been more salty, savory type. I don't know whether it's a product of some of the Asian heritage or whatnot. I've just never been into heavily sweet things. I like to bake. I like the smell of it. I don't like to ingest it. It makes me sick. So I've always had a different constitution for that stuff than most of my family. I don't drink soda. I've been mostly a tea and water drinker, and I even limited that as I got older. Soda is a no go for me because the syrups always made me sick. I am big now because of the lockdown. It shut it, and that's why I started exercising and lifting weights again. A lot of this is muscle now, which I'm starting to like. When I flex and feel it, even though there's still a layer of cushion under it, I'm feeling actual muscle from the last 6 months of actual lifting. Slowly but surely, I am getting to that stocky, stout look that I want. And I know it's weird for some people because it's like women want to be slim and feminine. Some women do. This woman wants to be able to kick somebody's ass if they try me. That's always been my thing. I am in protect and defend myself mode. So no, my goals don't align with the whole kind of standard. And I found a partner that's okay with what I want to do. And that's why I think body positivity, for what they try to push on TikTok, social media, and stuff, isn't real right now. Because if you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, I like what I see, you can't look yourself in the mirror and go, I might not like everything I see, but I'm working on certain things. If you can't set a goal for yourself that you like and say good things about yourself, of course you're going to get in your feels about shit like this. You're going to be sensitive to any kind of fat comment. You won't even be able to joke about yourself. And I know self depreciation can be bad at times. I had to learn how to get away from the toxic version of that. But I can confidently say that I don't care if I'm everybody's cup of tea. I'm a big old bowl of jello for the person who loves me, and that's all I ever needed. And even if I didn't have him, I'm okay with myself. And I realized when I started being okay and carrying myself that way, the people who were meant to be around me and gravitate towards me did that. And that is the best advice that I can give to any of you struggling with your image issues, whether you're big, whether you think you're too skinny, whether you think you're not enough. The only person that can give you your self worth is you. That's why it's called self worth. But we are in an insecure society that wants us to feel like anything that's different isn't valuable enough. They want us insecure because it's a literal $1 billion industry between cosmetics, between surgeries, between fashion. And the insecure society won't question how stupid some of this shit is. I want less people hating what they see when they look at themselves, or at least being honest about the things they hate and can change, and realizing that the things they hate that are stupid and superficial and probably influenced by outside things don't matter. See your value, protect your value, because too many of us are broken by shit that doesn't even matter in the long run. We are all going to get old one day. We are all going to die one day. Why live your life so miserable trying to seek superficial acceptance when you could just be confident in who you are? That gives off a glow. I don't know if people understand this, but it gives off such a good glow when you like who you are, no matter who else likes it. There's just something appealing about actual confidence, not arrogance, because there's a huge difference in arrogance. You got to tell people about yourself, drum up bullshit lies about yourself. That's arrogance. When you are confident in who you are, whether you don't fit people's mold, whether you don't come across as classy to some, when you are confident in the skin you're in, it gives a whole different vibe. And I need people, and I agree with you on that, Beans. It is marketing, but marketing is so heavily tied into our society that everywhere we look, it is ingrained into our personas, especially those of us who are raised by TV. Gen X and older who literally grew up with the TV generation, that commercially crafted bullshit, how a household should be, how women should carry themselves, how men should carry themselves. In the digital age, it's a bit harder to keep that narrative going, even though people keep trying to bring it back. But social media has been doing its number on people's psyches as well. And it just feels like our society needs to get away from that and start teaching people to not only value their own self worth, but protect their own self worth. Stop seeking that relevance in other people's eyes. Because the people who are considered relevant, they don't care about what other people think, really. They'll pretend like they do. But honestly speaking, they know they're going to do them no matter what. And that's what people are attracted to. Even when they're pieces of garbage type people, they know they can be trash because people will follow them anyway. They are confidently themselves. So if you need any true advice for how to navigate this crazy thing we want to call life, be you. Stop worrying if you don't constantly bring in followers and numbers. Stop worrying if your account doesn't match such and so and so. Be you. It will come in time if you really want something. I really do believe in that. And I think a lot of people get scared of that because the digital age has really unleashed that power that so many people didn't think they had. That voice that some of you didn't think you had. There is somebody for everybody. There are groups for everybody. There are mindsets out there for every single one of us. And if you are confident in who you are, that's the best way to blaze your path. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I will be back on Friday night. Beans, thank you so much for sitting in. I really appreciate you. I've appreciated everybody who reached out. Like I said, my novel's out, been doing well. Ebook sales are really doing well. I am so blessed. Physical book sales, I am going to try to start getting signed copies out once the winter. I am deep under snow right now, so ain't no way I'm getting out of my house to mail off heavy books. Ain't happening until the snow defrost. We sent out one last week before the snow. Should be coming to you, my friend, in Alabama soon. But that is going to be the last book we physically, signed book we physically mail out until the springtime thaw happens, because I'm not going to do that to my post office guy either. I like him way too much for his old ass to be carrying up some heavy ass books. But I'm rambling, so I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, go make some dinner. Thank you so much, Beans, for being a dear friend and being here. I really appreciate it. You know, I tell people all the time, even if I had to do these by myself, I would, but it does help me a lot to have chat going. So I really do appreciate you sitting in. But I will be back on Friday night with the Friday Night Bonnet Chronicles. Thank you so much, and I will see you all soon.